All hell is breaking loose as Donald Trump cracks under pressure during his disastrous war. The entire world is seeing Donald Trump for how weak he is in China. It's being reported by Bloomberg that Xi Jinping has closely studied Donald Trump and the U.S. war with Iran to learn about the United States' weaknesses, especially as China eyes Taiwan. Officials are saying that China sees a huge advantage right now as the United States shifts its attention and military away from Asia into the Middle East, where Donald Trump has started this never-ending war with Iran, where Iran has showed escalation dominance over Donald Trump. Trump and Netanyahu attacked the South Pars energy facility in Iran. Iran retaliates against Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Iran retaliates against the Ras Laffan northern liquefied natural gas facilities in Qatar. And then Donald Trump blinks and Trump's like, I didn't mean that. It was actually Netanyahu who did it. I didn't do anything. Please stop, Iran. Be nice to Qatar. And if you're not nice, I'm going to do some really mean things to you. Let's talk about what's going on in Japan right now. If you go to a gas station in Japan, you'll probably see something like this. Look at this gas station. It says, sorry, out of gasoline because of Donald Trump. This is not photoshopped. That is a real photo. And meanwhile, Prime Minister Takaishi of Japan says that starting today, that they will be providing subsidies to keep the retail price of gasoline at around 170 yen per liter on the national average. Doesn't this remind you of when COVID started out in Asia and then started spreading to the rest of the world? These gas shortages, and I know it's very bad in the United States. I mean, we know how expensive right now gasoline is, like the biggest sudden rise in history. But this is going to start to spread from Asia, and it's going to head to the United States, where soon there's either not going to be enough gasoline, there's going to be shortages, or people are just going to literally not be able to. I know right now it's unaffordable, but soon it's just going to be non-existent. Prime Minister Takaishi talks about emergency measures that they are taking there. Meanwhile, as Donald Trump shows utter weakness, Russia is heading into Cuba. Let me repeat that. Russia is heading into Cuba. And if you're saying, hey, you mean like Cuban Missile Crisis? Wasn't that a big deal? Well, once upon a time, the United States stood up to Russia. Now, Donald Trump removes oil sanctions from Russia, allows Russia to make huge profits, while Donald Trump is the latest number? Donald Trump's going to want about $200 billion more in a military supplemental. So as the American people are suffering, Russia is the main beneficiary of this war in Iran. And Russia is heading to Cuba. 2 Russian ships carrying oil and gas are on their way to Cuba, despite U.S. pressure and sanctions under Donald Trump. I guess the pressure don't apply to Donald Trump's buddy Putin. The shipments come as Cuba faces a severe energy crisis highlighted by a recent nationwide blackout and months without fuel deliveries, Clash Report explains. From Financial Times, the extra supply could help ease shortages that have disrupted hospitals, transport, and daily life. 2 shipments of Russian oil and gas head to Cuba in defiance of the U.S. They see you as weak, Donald. They see that you blink. You went in with Netanyahu, blew up the South Pars facility in Iran. Iran blew up the facilities in Riyadh and in Qatar. And then you said, oopsie, we're not going to do this again. They see you blink. China right now, they're bringing their ships up the Strait of Hormuz. You do realize that, idiot Donald, right? That they're bringing up their ships to the Strait of Hormuz. They're traveling right around the coast. Iran's letting them go through. while China and Russia are helping out Iran with weapons. Like, you do realize that, like, Iran is now getting parts for more Shahed drones from Russia after Iran was providing Russia with Shahed drones, and you are allowing Russia to make more money to help Iran kill Americans and target Americans. But, Donald, that's just, you do you. You take a look. But by the way, so that was your plan in Cuba. Your plan in Cuba was to allow Putin to have more influence there. And by the way, if you think that your buddy Delcy Rodriguez and the Chavistas who are still running Venezuela, if you think that behind your back, you weak, pathetic loser, that they're not talking to Putin, of course Delcy's talking to Putin. Of course she's talking to Xi Jinping. And they're all laughing in your face, Donald. By the way, you have Japan and South Korea tapping into their stockpiles. Southeast Asian countries, as Dropside explains, very much exposed right now. Thailand has banned most oil exports, imposing price controls. It's urging remote work and reduced travel. It's like in Asia right now. Remote work, reduced travel. That's why I said this is very reminiscent. I mean, it's its own crisis, obviously. It's not a pandemic with a actual virus, but it's a Trump virus right now that's spreading. As you know, the price per barrel of oil over $110 right now. Take a look at what's going on in Germany. Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz on Iran. Washington did not consult us and did not declare European aid to be necessary. The Chancellor of Germany said quite the contrary. Donald Trump said, we don't want your help. We don't need you. Go away. Okay. We would have, and then Germany Chancellor said, we would have advised against following this path in the way it is currently being followed. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez had Zelensky over, and he said, I want to be clear. While Donald Trump is out there betraying you, we will not forget. Spain, Europe, we will not forget what Ukraine is doing. We won't let this distract us. I thought that was a powerful message right there from Pedro Sanchez.
When it comes to dog food, sometimes it feels like you have to choose. You either get something fresh and healthy or something that's easy to store and serve, but not both. That's exactly why I want to tell you about Sundays. Sundays was founded by a veterinarian and mom, Dr. Tori Waxman, who got tired of seeing so-called premium dog food packed with fillers and synthetic ingredients. So she created Sundays, air-dried, real food made in a human-grade kitchen with the same care that you would use for your own meals. Every bite is made from real meat, fruits, and vegetables. No kibble, no weird ingredients you can't pronounce, and absolutely no fillers. In fact, Sundays invests 50 times more in its ingredients compared to typical dog food brands, because your dog deserves real quality, not cost cutting. And here's what I love most. It's incredibly easy. You just scoop and serve. No freezer, no thawing, no prep, no mess. For me, I think about how I feed myself and the people I love. I want real, clean, high quality food. Why wouldn't I want the same for my dog? And since switching, I've noticed better energy, a healthier coat, and just an overall happier pup. You can really see the difference. Make the switch to Sundays. Go right now to sundaysfordogs.com/Meidas50 and get 50% off your first order. Or you could use code Meidas50 at checkout. That's 50% off your first order at sundaysfordogs.com/Meidas50. sundaysfordogs.com/Meidas50 or use code Meidas50 at checkout. That's MEIDAS50.
Want to share this with you as well. Oman's foreign minister, Badr al-Busaidi, right? He was the guy who was the main mediator between the United States and Iran in late February, on that day where there was a major breakthrough in mediated discussions, right? You had the national security advisor from the UK was in the room as well. Everybody believed that there was basically a deal that was reached between the United States and Iran, basically pretty close to a deal in principle, where Iran would agree no enrichment of any future ability to build a nuclear weapon, very strong protocols. Iran basically agreed to everything. And look, Witkoff and Kushner, who were the main negotiators for the United States, as Oman's foreign minister explained, and as UK's national security advisor explained, they were basically proxies of Netanyahu. Like, they didn't know what they were doing. They were there. They were joking about the Florenschein, whatever they call it, those shoes that Donald Trump buys his staff members. Like, Trump guesses your shoe size and he buys you these like weird shoes and he makes you wear them even if they don't fit you. So like, apparently Witkoff and Kushner were showing off their shoes to the Iranian negotiators, while the Oman foreign minister, the UK national security advisor, and others were doing the hard work. But whatever, they got a deal in principle that would have been very good for the United States and the world. And then that night, Netanyahu said, okay, we got to invade. Donald, you joining me? Because if you don't, they're going to attack you. And Trump's like, bet, I'm going to do it. So here's what the foreign minister of Oman told The Economist yesterday. Iran's retaliation against what it claims are American targets on the territory of its neighbors was an inevitable, if deeply regrettable, and completely unacceptable result. Faced with what both Israel and America described as a war designed to terminate the Islamic Republic, this was probably the only rational option available to the Iranian leadership. The effects of this retaliation are felt most acutely on the southern side of the Gulf, where Arab countries that had placed their trust in American security cooperation now experience that cooperation as an acute vulnerability, threatening their present security and future prosperity. For Gulf states, an economic model in which global sport, tourism, aviation, and technology were to play an important role is now endangered. Plans to become a global hub for data centers may need to be revised. In other words, Donald Trump just turned your Arab nations into his Atlantic City casinos. Literally, he did what he did with the Atlantic City casinos to your nations. By the way, look what he's doing to Vegas as well, as Trump is crippling the tourism industry in the United States. By the way, the guy who I just read, Oman's foreign minister, he was the mediator. He was who the United States picked. And Oman has been hit by Iranian drones, and he's saying, I get it. What do you think they're going to do if you threaten to decapitate the regime? They're going to lash out for survival against the other Arab nations. That's why we tried to do a peace deal. He writes, and this is what the Oman foreign minister wrote in The Economist, this is an uncomfortable truth to tell because it involves indicating the extent to which America has lost control of its own foreign policy, but it must be told. And he says, while it will be difficult for Iran to return to dialogue, he goes, that's the only way this resolves. It's not going to be resolved through war. But he goes, how can Iran return to dialogue with an administration that twice switched abruptly from talks to bombing and assassination? So even if you wanted to negotiate with the Trump regime, how do you do it when the Trump regime will use the negotiation to literally try to kill you in a negotiation? He says that America's friends have a responsibility to tell the truth. There are two parties to this war who have nothing to gain from it, he says. In his view, this is what the Oman foreign minister says. This was the doing of Israel's leadership, who persuaded America that Iran had been so weakened by sanctions, internal divisions, and the American-Israeli bombings of its nuclear sites last June that an unconditional surrender would swiftly follow the initial assault and the assassination of the supreme leader. But that's not what happened. And every day, the U.S. and Israel make this thing worse. I just want to be very clear. Look, Iran, the Islamic Republic, led by the Ayatollah, is a terroristic regime, and they are very bad actors. I'm not like saying that they're not. They're very bad actors. But the question is, should we be involved in regime change? Should we be involved in endless wars just because there are regimes that are bad? Is it our job in the United States, while we have Americans suffering, while Americans don't have health care, while Americans can't afford things? Is that what you're going to do? And By doing that, you're making it worse because you're not doing it with any level of understanding of the region. Let's give you an example. Ali Larijani, their national security advisor, was killed 2 days ago by Israel, right? And Israel's like, we got him. We got Larijani. He's the bad guy. Okay, he's a bad guy. But guess who takes his place? Saeed Jalil. You want Ali Larijani or Saeed Jalil? Okay, Saeed Jalil, 10 times more extreme than Larijani. The same way you get rid of Ayatollah Khomeini, you get Mojtaba Khomeini. You get his son, a more extreme version of him. Iran's leadership is such that they have 3 to 7 people ready to fill any one position. One person gets killed, another person moves in, and usually someone more extreme than the next. So you've killed Larijani, who was probably one of your last hopes at negotiating, and you bring in possibly Saeed Jalili. Now, it's going to be up to Pezeshkian, the president of Iran, to make that selection. But lots of people say it's people like Saeed Jalili who are going to be picked. And that is bad. That's bad news for the United States right now. What else we got while we're on the topic? You have the United States talking about bringing in thousands of more troops. Thousands, they're saying. They already brought in 5,000 troops, this Marine Expeditionary Unit that's on their way, heading from Japan. Again, leaving Asia very vulnerable, right? And then thousands of more troops, because Donald Trump is seriously contemplating a ground invasion now of Iran, not just the Strait of Hormuz, but the coastline of Iran. And here's the thing. Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, this whole crew, they're a bunch of idiots. And I'm saying this, I'm not saying this to be like immature, like they're not intelligent people. Like these are actual losers who can be easily outmaneuvered. They don't plan, they don't think, they don't know facts. And I'm showing you that the whole world sees it. Look at the mushroom clouds in Saudi Arabia. Look at the mushroom clouds in Qatar. Look at what's happening. And Donald Trump's response is to act like, oh, we didn't have anything to do with the Iranian South Pars strike. Yes, you did. Of course you did. It was you. We know what happened. And then Donald Trump is posting, U.S. allies need to get a grip, step up and help us in the Strait of Hormuz. Who wants to help you? While you also say you're not afraid of a Vietnam-style ground combat in Iran. You dodged the draft in Vietnam. All hell is breaking loose across the world right now. Donald Trump so utterly pathetic. Tell me what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks everybody for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.